Thank you to Fabi for sponsoring this video. I just used Fabi to do some deep SEO analysis as well as some really surprising Google Analytics analysis. I used to run a data team on a venture-backed startup, so I was really excited when Fabi reached out and gave me access to their product to dive in and test. I don't know about you, but for me, Google Analytics is actually really hard to use, and I never really find the time to go in and actually dig in and look at my data. So being able to use Fabi to actually explore the data and learn more about it has been really useful. And something cool about Fabi is it's able to run SQL and Python directly in the platform. Now you don't have to understand that code, but that's what it's doing in the platform. It looks like it's writing some SQL here. This is crazy because I remember when I used to work as a data analyst, I would write SQL by hand. And it's just wild that now that's not something that you ever have to do again. That's something that AI is really good at. So here we can see it queried the data, queried my no-code MBA property, which is where my data is, and it's pulling in the data by day of the source. So we can see, for example, this is ChatGPT, which I'm going to get to in a second. I thought was really interesting. Sessions, total users, engagement rate. So it's pulling in all this data that otherwise I would just never know to look at, or I just wouldn't go in and actually see it. Then it created a summary, so I can see it summarizing the sessions by source. And then it created a visualization here of where the traffic is coming from. So what caught my eye was ChatGPT. So I sent a message, can you show me ChatGPT sessions by week over time? I'm interested to see how that has changed. So it pulled that data and then it created a chart, and it's actually interesting. It looks like our ChatGPT data was spiking around the last week in October, first week in November. And then it has gone down through the holidays, which we actually got some analysis here. So it kind of talked about the notable phases, the rapid growth, plateau, and consolidation. And it said the recent decline appears seasonal holidays rather than a long-term trend with signs of recovery in early 2026. So we can see here, this is early 2026, and it's kind of stable, and hopefully it'll recover and kind of get to higher levels than it was. But it's interesting to see that ChatGPT data coming in, and otherwise, we wouldn't know. And I can also see here Claude. We are getting some Claude data as well, but a lot less than ChatGPT, which also just gives us a sense of, how much bigger ChatGPT is than Claude right now. We can also see YouTube traffic. That I'm really interested in because of our YouTube channel and how well it's actually working. So here we can see YouTube traffic. Now this is actually really interesting. So it goes back to February of 2025, and we can actually see it go down and kind of stabilize around November. So it does show a different story than what the ChatGPT data was showing us. So where this is coming from is part of our strategy of where our links are going. So this is only our actual no-code MBA domain. Now, what we switched to around, I would say, the summer, is we switched the links that we're sending people to. So for example, now we're sending people to sasscourse.ai. So this is a different domain that isn't getting captured. We're also sending them to a newsletter link, which is a different domain. So that's interesting. And it actually makes me want to connect more data sources so we can get a better picture of what is actually happening. So then another interesting visualization here, and this is just data that otherwise I wouldn't have access to, or wouldn't, I guess it's in Google Analytics, but I would never think to go in and make these dashboards, is the top 10 courses by traffic. So we can see the AI SaaS course, number 1, building apps with AI. This is like connecting with Bubble is a number 2, then Flutterflow, intro to no-code Webflow. So just this kind of analysis is super interesting. Okay, so let's say you've done some analysis here and you want to have a place to view this without having to do the analysis again. We can create a dashboard. So here's an example of a dashboard. We can see top 10 traffic sources over the last 7 days, and we can have this information. And then we can click Publish Dashboard. And then you can also share this dashboard with your team and then make it so everyone in the company can see it, or only the people invited can see it, depending on the sensitivity of the data. And if we go back to Edit Dashboard, we can also schedule the app to run at specific times so we can periodically update the dashboard. So that's one really cool use case of exploring your Google Analytics data. Everyone watching this video, if you have a website or a company, you definitely have Google Analytics data, but all of this same analysis can be done with your own SQL database. And that's where I think things can get really powerful if you connect it to your own database, have customer data, and want to start understanding more about how your customers are interacting with your product. So to show you that on a smaller scale is I've uploaded a Google Sheet of grocery store data. So this is 500 rows of grocery store data, customer name, product, category, quantity, price, payment type, and the store that the data was purchased at. So here we got a summary of the Google Sheet of the data that's inside it. We have some suggested next steps, like summarizing the total and quantity by product category, or we can ask a specific question. But let's start with this, analyzing our top customers by spend and purchase frequency. So we can see it's using the Claude Sonnet 4.5 model here to do the analysis. But this is just so much smoother, I think, and easier and really better analysis because it's purpose built for analysis than using a tool like Claude, which of course can do analysis on spreadsheets, but it's not going to be to this level. And I think you're going to get a much better output by using something like Fabi compared to just doing it in Claude or in ChatGPT. And then the ability to create dashboards and share them with your team also really sets it apart from other tools. And like I said before, it's purpose built for analytics using SQL and Python. So here we have our first analysis. It grouped it by total spend, number of transactions, total items, average spend per transaction. It created a bar chart, which is really nice. And then also a scatter plot to show the relationship between purchase frequency and spending, which is really interesting as well. And it's doing this just on its own, thinking about, okay, what are the most useful analysis? And then of course you can ask for specific analysis as well. So if you like those charts that it created, we can click Save to Analysis, and it's going to put that here into our analysis window here on the left side. And then again, we can click Build Dashboard. And then again, in the dashboard, we can build and see this analysis directly inside. And then if we don't want some of this analysis in our dashboard, we can just remove it. And then here it's going to be in cell visibility. So you can easily add and remove what's going to be on that dashboard, publish the dashboard, and then again, easily share it with your team. Or you could put it on a TV screen, for example. That could be another really interesting use case of being able to have live insight into your data. Now, in this analysis, we're going to analyze Google Search Console data. This is essentially going to give you like an SEO expert here in our chat, which is going to be connected to our Google Search Console. Look at our search data. So this is basically Google organic search data, where people are finding us and what they are clicking on, what articles they're clicking on. And what I asked it was to see over the last 6 months, what articles are gaining traffic and what are losing traffic. And this is going to give me a sense of what I need to pay attention to in my articles and SEO. And this is, again, like Google Analytics, the type of data connection that you probably should be looking at more, but you most likely aren't, because Google Search Console doesn't make it that easy to really dig into the data. So over the last 6 months, it's saying the top 15 articles gaining traction: AI Studio review, Figma Make AI review, Bubble AI app builder review. That's interesting to see these articles that are gaining traction. And you can see it's like the click change over time. Some of these, it might just be because they're new, like the Dyad review, for example. It looks like it's 59 clicks now, but the first 3 months was 0 because it just didn't exist. But this one has been around, and we can see for Google AI Studio, first 3 months was 209, last 3 months was 356, so 70% change. So here we can see top 15 articles losing traffic over the last 6 months. So now, I don't know if this decrease on some of these is because overall search volume is down, like are just less people searching for, Bolt versus Lovable, or is it because we went down in the search? So let's see if I'm able to find that out. So I'm asking for Bolt versus Lovable. Are we down because of search volume or placement? All right, so it created some graphs. I created kind of an analysis, and it's saying, okay, what is the overall bottom line? So for Bolt versus Lovable, our position remained unchanged. The search volume is lower, so the impressions. And then for Lovable versus Bolt, we did drop a little bit. Search volume also dropped, but the traffic decline is 90% due to market demand dropping, not SEO performance. So I think there was just a period of time when Bolt and Lovable were like 2 of the only vibe coding platforms, and everyone wanted to learn about them, and the market just got a little saturated and demand went down a little bit. So that's interesting analysis, and just showing you one of the ways to work with Fabi is like back and forth, like a conversation, in addition to creating those dashboards of like things you would want to look at on a regular basis. And then again, we could create a dashboard just by clicking Build Dashboard. Thanks for watching. Click the link in the description to go to Fabi and try it out yourself. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more content like this, and leave a comment if you have any questions. See you in the next video.